Good day, Mustangs. Thank you for joining us once again. It's Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, and I'm Akshay Maharaj. In the headlines, High School Model UN made great strides. Wednesday at Work is back, and the High School Math Olympiad brought home the gold. But first, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for our top story. A lot of firsts for FSA's High School Model United Nations team. It was the team's debut this past weekend, where they competed at the annual National High School Model United Nations Conference, usually held in New York City, but due to COVID, there was a twist. It was held virtually, with students all over the world. Here's more from Rohan Mova.
Hundreds of students competed in the National High School Model United Nations Conference virtually for 4 consecutive days from all over the world. Not to mention various speakers, including New York's Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul, and Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Louis Almargo. Both highlighted the importance of diplomacy and how it will shape future leaders. At the conference, FSA's delegation represented the United States in over 15 committees. With over 100 schools participating internationally, FSA had a strong performance, with Representatives Akshay Maharaj and Abhiram Chenupati being selected to speak at the plenary session on the final day. The team's advisor, Mrs. Beth Peter, shared with Mustang News that when she was informed by NHS MUN leadership that the U.S. delegation serving on UN CTAD, Akshay and Abhiram, were asked to address the plenary session for the U.S., I was filled with such pride and enthusiasm for my team. Abhiram and Akshay said that they tried for a great showing in their council, the United Nations Commission on Trade and Development, but when they got the news that they were selected to speak, they were humbled and honored that they got to put FSA's name out there. The team in general shared that it was quite an experience, and that they can't wait for an in-person competition again. For Mustang News, I am Rohan Mova.
The FSA High School Math team had lots of fun and enjoyed solving math problems on Saturday, March 6th at the online math tournament, hosted by Columbus State University. The team received the perfect score at the 47th annual CSU High School Math Tournament, and they placed first as a team overall among 12 schools from Georgia and Alabama. Out of 30 questions, the team correctly answered all 30, earning an overall score of 460. This is an annual event that FSA participates in every year in March. Due to the pandemic, the competition was not held last year. In 2019, the high school math team placed first as a team, and the tournament had individual rounds addition to the team round. It's time to introduce a new face. This week with Wednesday at Work, Mustang News sat down with Dr. Susan Duderstadt, a new addition to the high school science department. Here's Isra with more.
Mustang News sat down with Dr. Susan Duderstadt, a new addition to the high school science department. This year she is teaching chemistry honors, AP chemistry, and AP research. She shared that working at FSA has been a wonderful experience and an easy adjustment. Dr. Duderstadt explained that the hardest thing COVID-19 has brought is the barriers between her and her students.
It is always tough. It's challenging because you don't get to know your students as well as you'd like to, especially when they're really, really tiny on the screen. And I really wish we were face-to-face, and I hope we will be able to be soon. But that's been fairly challenging, and that's been very challenging for most teachers. Trying to turn what we used to do with pencil and paper into electronic format, that's also been very difficult. And of course, with all these platforms we're using, some of our students sometimes fade out because their internet crashes. So I think that's been difficult for most of us.
Before teaching, Dr. D trained in pediatric medicine and obtained a degree in public health. In addition, she was a part-time contractor for the Centers for Disease Control for 7 years while raising her children. She later decided to get a teaching degree, discovering a passion for teaching. Dr. D was inspired to be a teacher from her own children by volunteering for science-based projects at their schools.
I started doing some science volunteer work with their classes. As my children got older and older, I started doing science clubs with older and older students. And after a while, I was spending much more. I seemed to be much more happy and enthusiastic about doing the science teaching than I was about doing large linked database research on anthrax vaccine. So
Wow.
I went back to get a teaching degree.
She seemed to have developed a calling to teach high school. In addition to teaching classes, she is the advisor for the Movie Maker Club and HOSA. She shared that she loves to garden and play the harp in her spare time. For Mustang News, I'm Isra Hussein.
Keep your umbrellas handy, Mustangs. According to the Weather Channel, it's going to be a rainy few days. Today's high is at 64 degrees and the low is at 57. Tomorrow the high is at 71 and the low is at 45. Today for Women's History Month, let's take words from Serena Williams, an American tennis player. Serena Williams is the former world #1 in women's single tennis. She has won 23 Grand Slam single titles, the most by any player in the Open era. She reminds us that I really think a champion is defined not by their wins, but how they can recover when they fall. It's time to get out of our middle of the week slump with a joke. What does a nosy pepper do? Gets jalapeno business. Today's St. Patrick's Day. Here's some fun ways to celebrate from Mustang News. Go to the website Just Candy and order their collection of green-only candy and put the green candy in glass jars to pretty them up. Other ideas include guessing how many pieces of candy are in the jar, or how many ounces the jar weighs. Before we go, it is our duty in Mustang News to help keep you safe. We do this by reminding you to always wash your hands, using alcohol-based sanitizer. Don't forget to wear your mask properly, and keep your distance when walking up and down the stairs, hallways, and anywhere inside the building when you're on campus. Before you leave home, check your temperature, and complete your daily Magnus Health screening. If you are feeling sick, stay home. If in doubt about any symptoms or procedures, check COVID updates on the FSA website, and please review FSA's protocol. Stay safe and healthy, Mustangs, and join us again on Friday for another edition of Mustang News. Make sure to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm Akshay Maharaj, reminding you to be the best you can be. And remember, we are always #stronger together.